last few weeks, Stories of Transformation has provided you with the personal stories of young activists working to end gender-based violence. As we come into the last week of Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month, we close out the I'm an Activist series with a story on resilience and hope. I'm Brecken Erdman, and it has been a pleasure to be your guest host on Stories of Transformation, an NRCDV radio production. Our story today comes from a young survivor and aspiring activist who illuminates the power of storytelling to raise awareness and inspire change. Alexandria Brahm attends high school in Forest City, Iowa, where she enjoys reading and writing. Upon graduation, she aspires to volunteer alongside her stepmother at her local crisis intervention center, serving survivors of domestic violence, human trafficking, sexual assault, and other forms of gender-based violence. She plans to attend West Point United States Military Academy. Today, she shares her experiences as a young person at the intersection of abuse, addiction, and loss. As Alexandria describes the complex adversity she has experienced throughout her life, we encourage you to listen to the power of her hope and the strength in her resilience as she imagines what the future may bring.
Mother, a word that's supposed to mean a caring, responsible, gracious, protective woman, suddenly meant someone who sleeps all the time because of seizures, someone who dates abusive men, someone who I have to take care of instead of her taking care of me. When I was little, I believed that her overdoses on drugs really were just seizures. I used to believe that when she slept all the time, it was really because she was just tired, and not that she passed out because she was using painkillers as a way to escape. My 7-year-old self thought nothing of it when my mom went to Prairie Ridge, the nearest drug rehabilitation center, because I didn't know what it meant. I can still remember the visiting schedule. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I would go to Prairie Ridge and talk to my mom for about an hour, maybe 2 on really good days. I can't blame this on her, however. People can make terrible choices and everyone should take responsibility of their actions, but I refuse to blame all of this on my mom. She did love me, very much, and she was trying to get better, but the whole drugs have on you is simply too overpowering for most people, and it was too overpowering for my mother. I guess I should start at the beginning. My mom didn't exactly know how to bond with me, but she knew I love stories, and reading and writing is a passion of mine, so she told me her life story. It took a few hours, but it was definitely worth it. I was going to make her a goddess, or some beautiful queen in a faraway land, but I feel the truth is more important, and it's certainly more helpful to other people. One chilly evening on October 6th, a beautiful baby girl was born, but she was born much too early. She was born a few weeks earlier than expected, and doctors told her mother she would have learning disabilities and may never be able to talk. Boy, were they wrong. This little baby would grow up spitting words like fire, dangerous knives that could cut you if you got too close or too accusatory. I'm getting ahead of myself. The mother named her little miracle Chantel Marie. When Chantel was a small child, her mother had another little girl named Brandy, and a few years later, she had a baby boy named Troy. A terrible turn of events happened, and the seemingly perfect family image was right for my eyes. Ron, my mom's dad, was a terrible father. He went drinking often, physically and mentally abused my grandmother and her little miracle Chantel. When Chantel was 11, the worst thing imaginable happened. Her mom passed away because of breast cancer, leaving Chantel, Brandy, and Troy defenseless against a mean, abusive alcoholic. Chantel often sought refuge at her grandma's house, dragging Brandy and Troy along with her, for Ron wouldn't dare go to their grandma's house. Even though doctors thought Chantel would have learning disabilities, her stubborn personality wouldn't let her prove the doctors right. During 6th grade, Chantel tutored 8th graders. She graduated a year earlier than she should have, and proved everyone who ever looked down on her that she was a force to be reckoned with. Though she had proved everyone wrong in the school department, she didn't prove anyone wrong in the statistics department. Later in life, Chantel had a miracle of her own, a baby girl, but she was too young to keep her, so she gave the little girl up for adoption. About 12 years past that, Chantel had another baby girl, but she was old enough, and she had a steady job, so she kept this baby girl. Me. When I was 5, I started noticing a few characteristics my mom had that I questioned. Why did she fall asleep all the time? Why did her and my father get divorced? Why was she never at any of my events? There was one answer for all of the above. Drugs. Not heroin or marijuana, but more of the legal kind. The kind you can get at any store anywhere in the nation. Painkillers. Painkillers had become my mom's life. They took away my mom and her ability to see the value of living. At 7 years old, my parents were divorced, my mother was abusing pharmaceuticals, and I barely realized anything was wrong. This isn't the life any child should have, and it's about to get a whole lot worse. For the next few years, I visited my mom on and off. Her and my father didn't get along very well, so custody was a battle I didn't want to fight, but I was drafted into the middle of the war. The war lasted a few years, but ended on, well, unexpected terms. It was a misty, mosquito-filled morning, and I was getting ready for school. I threw on sweatpants, a sweatshirt, and headed upstairs from my room in the basement. I could already tell something was wrong. Nikki, my stepmom, told me to sit down. My dad was trying to talk to me, but couldn't in between sobs. Nikki held my hand and said 3 words that forever changed my life. Chantel is dead. I couldn't believe it. 3 words flipped my world upside down. I didn't know what to do, so I just sat there. Then the thoughts came. Thoughts are terrible little things that can make anything 10,000 times worse than it already is. Thinking about the future, about what was going to happen and never will. Mourning for what will never be is a dangerous thought process, and it tore me into pieces. Grieving about future graduations, weddings, children, getting old, and living life. My mother would never see me accomplish any of those. Every accomplishment is torture to me because she'll never be there to see it. Christmas is a nightmare I don't want to dream. Every holiday, every grade I get, every summer makes me want to curl up into a ball and cry because none of it will be with her. How did this happen? She got sick. That wasn't a good enough answer. It isn't a good enough answer. My mom was an amazing nurse. She would have been smart enough to know if she was sick, and she did. She asked for help. Chantel asked to be taken to a hospital to no avail. Struck sick for 3 days, begging for help in a room full of people on all sorts of drugs. She probably would have lived if it wasn't for Steve. Steve was my mom's husband. My mom put this thought in my head that Steve was a brave knight that saved her from her last abusive relationship, and I believed it. My mom's last relationship was horrible. Her last boyfriend slammed her head into the concrete one night because she didn't clean the house to his liking. Steve seemed like an angel compared to my mom's last boyfriend. That surely wasn't the case. Steve managed my mom's money so much, she couldn't even buy a soda without Steve knowing it. And if he didn't know about it, he'd scream at her. He could have taken my mom to a hospital, but he didn't. For 3 days, she was in agony, and no one did anything. The past can't be changed, though, and there's no point in wishing on what-ifs. Moving on can happen, and acceptance is realistic. All there's left to do is hope tomorrow will be better than today, and move on. In the future, I can help other people by volunteering for Nikki's job, Crisis Intervention Center, and hope it truly does bring them some peace of mind. My fight with grief isn't over, and it never will be, but some people's fights are just beginning, and I can help with that. Not only offering peace of mind, but peace of heart and soul is how I can help people, and that doesn't sound half bad to me.
Thank you so much for your story, Alexandria. You've provided a powerful and reflective way to end our I'm an Activist mini-series. It's been a pleasure to be your guest host the last few weeks. Thank you to all of our storytellers for your stories and your contributions to the movement to end gender-based violence. If you missed previous episodes of the I'm an Activist series, you can find them on the media page of our website, nrcdv.org. While there, you can also access additional resources on gender-based violence and related topics. Continue to follow us on Twitter at National DVAM and hashtag I'm an Activist for all of our Teen Dating Violence Month activities. Thank you so much for listening. Stories of Transformation is an NRCDV radio podcast production brought to you by the National Resource Center on Domestic Violence. Support is provided by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Administration for Children and Families, Family and Youth Services Bureau.